Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming out. It's neat to see the interest in our program on a Thursday in September. We've come a long way. But just wanted to meet with you guys, and I know, didn't get a chance over the summer to do a formal update. And this fall, we're going to get rolling pretty quickly here. So just wanted the chance with our local media just to touch base and give you a chance to ask some questions. It's been a really good summer and start to the fall. It's been busy for me. Those two things aren't mutually exclusive. Like usually busy and really good. Kind of live in that same world. But I think the summer, was energizing for our staff and our players. And then rolling into fall here, we're still in the fall like access, which is a little bit less. And then we'll kick into gear with the beginning of the season training camp, the 42 days before we play a game on September 23rd. So eagerly awaiting that when it's all basketball all the time. We're really excited about our group. I think we're getting better all the time. And the standards remain the same. The expectations remain the same, even though some faces are different. I know one of the incredible questions will probably be about Juju. She's doing great. I just saw her in the training room. She was, with the team all summer, all fall, doing everything, around the team, that she can, but relative to her rehab schedule. So she's doing well. I don't have too much more to elaborate on that. It's a long process, and just trying to be here for her to make sure this time when she's not, able to play the game that I'm still what she needs me to be, and that she's able to get everything out of this time to make her a better, stronger person and player. And I think she's really embraced that. And she's been an incredible teammate. So that's the update there. I have no other update in terms of timetables. So just to preemptively say, I don't know anything else other than she's attacking her rehab and in a really good place with that. I can take questions on the other players and everything else, but we're super excited for the season to get going. I know the schedule just dropped, so that's of note as well.
Hey, Lindsay.
Hi.
Knowing that you would be without Juju at least for a significant part of this season, how did that color just how you were able to build this team with transfers in the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the spring was just a lot going on, and I think that's just the nature of college athletics now, that in the spring or in the postseason, you're going to have to retool a bit, right? Our starting front court was in the WNBA this summer. How cool is that, right? Kiki, shout out to her all-star and all-rookie season, which is phenomenal. And equally proud of Rhea, who was on the Suns, Connecticut Sun roster all season. And when they practiced up here, her coaching staff and front office raved about her. So we knew we were losing, the starting front court, and then, became aware at the very end of the year that we're not going to have Juju for a while. So, of course, and then we had a couple transfers. So, of course, it colors your approach to the offseason. So we feel like we made the transfer portal moves with that in mind. We all have to be nimble and strategize, and I'm big on putting together the right pieces, not just taking whoever. And so, obviously, knowing, who we had coming back, and who we were not going to have, were all part of the decisions. We were very intentional about who we brought into this program, and I think we've done a great job with the right people and the right pieces to be as competitive as we can possibly be, and we're excited about that.
Hey, Linz.
Hey.
With that being said, with the possibility of Juju not returning this season, what is this team going to look like on the court as far as style of play, pace of play, mentality? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think the goal has and remains to become the preeminent program in women's college basketball, and that that's the big moonshot, as they say, and I think we've taken some incredible strides to get there with the help of administration, with the help of our staff, and then on a day-to-day basis, you just try and get better than you were the day before. From a basketball standpoint, with some of the personnel shifts, I've done a lot of studying this off season. Spent some time with the Phoenix Mercury at their training camp, and watching a lot of stuff. The game is becoming more versatile. Obviously, it's pretty well said that we do a lot of WNBA style stuff. We have a lot of positionless players. And so I think that we're trying to play faster than ever. We're trying to spread the floor as much as ever. We're trying to play basketball the way that we want to play, to make ourselves, the best possible team we can be. And then you plug in players and you take out players, and obviously their skill sets, you adjust to their skill sets, but the way that we want to show up for one another, I think, is what we've been working on. I think we'll have a very fast, a very versatile team. And that's something we're excited about.
Hey, Lindsay. With Juju, unsure of when she could come back, how does that kind of change how you construct the offense and the defense, and kind of how it goes versus knowing that she's not going to be here, to the possibility of
Juju's here, so we're gonna only do this or only do that, right? We're, we do a lot of stuff in transition. We do a lot of stuff out of reads. We do a lot of stuff out of spacing, and then you learn people's strengths, right? And so when you have, a Kiki, it's, hey, let's try and manipulate the court to get her here. When Juju's good at this or that, or Kennedy, and now Jazzy, London, whoever, you put them in their spots, and then you figure out who's good at what, and sometimes you're, more trying to control the look, and other times it's happening in flow. But, there's no one else that's going to step in and be Juju and do what she does. But I think the way that we want to play will hopefully empower and put the entire team on a platform to do what they do well. And then, when you're able to, plug a Juju Watkins back in, it only makes you, more lethal. Or when you add players that come in as recruits, or, as players in our program develop, the idea is to, be really hard to guard no matter who's on the floor. And then obviously, you want to have as much talent as possible in those spots as well, and do the best that you can to, to feature those talents that people have. But the way that we're trying to play, I think, is certainly the focus of the fall, right? Is that ball moving? Are we creating open threes? Are we creating easy twos? Are we getting to our spots in the mid-range? And that's really what it's been about from a basketball standpoint. And then it's been about mental and physical toughness and fitness, because I do think, that's really important to our program, to be the fittest, most athletic team, in the country. And we have a great strength coach. We have players that buy into that. We have a great athletic trainer. And so that's as much as the summer and fall as the X's and O's. It's kind of the two things working together, and our players have really bought into that.
Hi, Haley from the OC Register. London Jones was one of the attention-grabbing transfers that happened. So I'm kind of curious as to if you can give some insight as to how that all came together and what she's adding to your team right now.
Yep. One really cool thing that happened this summer, I should probably try and find it here, but if you can ask Ryan over there, my phone has so many things on it you wouldn't believe. I'm losing all the memory because I have so much stuff. So I was going through trying to delete some things, and I found a voicemail message from June of 2019. Is that 6 years ago, or 5.5 years ago? So if London's 21 now, she was 15 years old? And it was a message on my phone. It was the day I'd accepted the Cavs job. And it's London on my voicemail saying, "Hi, Coach Lindsay," because she sounds like a 15-year-old. "Just wanted to say I'm so happy for you. Congratulations, and don't forget about me." How crazy. I played it for her. We were both like, oh, my gosh. So I've known her since I was the coach at Cal. And she says, if I hadn't left Cal, maybe things would have been different. But obviously I was super happy, for her when I was with the Cavs that, she went to the other school in L.A. and had a good career. But obviously there's a relationship there. And, when she went into the transfer portal, there was some honest conversation about, does she fit here, and does she fit here with what, we need from her. And having a relationship prior to that obviously helps in terms of just knowing people as humans. But every decision we make in the transfer portal is really about fit. Is what you can do and what you're looking for consistent with what we think that we need, right? It doesn't, mean that anyone else's previous school wasn't good for them or whatever. It's just everyone's trying to find what, is the next best thing. And so that relationship in the past, I think, helped there be a comfort zone, but we knew that we were going to need, some of the things that London brings. And I also think we're going to give her an opportunity to maybe do some different things that she hasn't done, in the past couple seasons. And so, she's someone that we're really excited to have. She's worked really hard this summer. It's a lot to take on a new system in a short amount of time, and she's embraced that challenge, and she's definitely going to be a significant part of what we're trying to do here.
Hi, Coach. Cameron from The Next. Wondering if you could talk a little bit about anything that surprised you this summer with players. And then secondary, the schedule we just got the schedule in our inboxes like 12 minutes ago, but can you, is there anything that you have circled on the calendar aside from obviously like UCLA?
So the surprises of the summer or the beauty of this job is like it's ever kind of changing. There's always growth. There's always things that, you expect and don't expect, and that's great. Gosh, I can think of a lot of them. I would say one of the first things is that I think every player here would tell you there's a good feel to it, right? That there's a really good chemistry authentically and naturally, which is great. I think that the returning players and new players have meshed really well. I think that I could talk about any number of people, but Kai Milton is probably one of the less heralded transfers. Probably get less publicity, but she's had a heck of a summer and really fit in here with less fanfare, I should say. But really, all of our transfers have come in. I mean, London and Cara Dunn provide veteran leadership, even though they're new here. Cara Dunn was a first-team All-ACC performer, and played on a really good Georgia Tech team, and so you get kind of some leadership from new people, which is great. A lot of you guys saw Kennedy Smith perform on the AmeriCup team, and I think that was significant in that. Kennedy was age appropriate for the U19, and she went ahead and got invited to the AmeriCup, which is there's no age, it's just the best college players, returning to school, and went ahead and earned a spot on that team and earned a really, I think, important role on a team that won a tough gold medal. So that her growth has been great. I mean, I could go through all the players, right? Malia Samuels is a third-year player. Like, you don't see that that often anymore, and so her growth has been amazing to see and exciting. And obviously we have a pretty special freshman, in Jazzy. So I would say the thing that's unique is that I'm really aware that Kiki was dominating in the W this summer, and Ray is on a W team, and we don't have Juju in practice, and yet we don't walk into practice as a staff and say, gosh, where's all of our talent, or where's all that production? It's, to the credit of the people, they've created, their own identity, and they're trying to keep the standards and expectations the same, but understanding we all got to pick it up a little bit, because there's a lot of, good players who won a lot of games last year who they can't look at and rely on someone else. Like, you got to do it. So there's been a lot of really good moments. And then the schedule, I mean, you see it. We scheduled really hard. If you want to be one of the best programs in the country, you got to schedule like it. And some of the games even became, a little harder as people picked up transfers and such. But not many people can say they're playing South Carolina, Notre Dame, and UConn. Two of those being the end of a home and home, and South Carolina being the beginning of a home and home. They're not at home, but at a marquee arena here, and then one the following year on their side, of town, or their side of the country. And then with the Big Ten coming out, the Big Ten's hard, and now we'll just flip who's home and who's away. Obviously, the UCLA games always stand out, but I think, we're going to have tough road trips. I think we proved last year that if you show up ready to play, it doesn't matter where you are. Got to do that again. The end stands out as being really difficult, where we go, Ohio State, Penn State, right back for UCLA, right at the end. But really, there's hard games all around that we're excited, to prove ourselves ready to handle whatever comes.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hi.
One of the most kind of unconventional additions that you guys had was Gerda from Lithuania.
Yep.
How did that come about, and what kind of drew you to her game, and what she can do for this team?
Yep. So I'm sure most of the time we'll just refer to Gerda, but I'm pretty. I promised her I would say Raul Shatite. That's pretty good. I think that's pretty good. But you can check me on that when she says it. Yeah. Again, when constructing the team, we knew that size and the front court was going to be important. I don't think any of us, said, okay, we have to go, find one person to give us 18 and 10 like Kiki, but I think as a group, we need, production in different ways. And we felt like going overseas and getting someone who had a lot of experience while she's new here. She's 21 years old. She was the Lithuanian Player of the Year, on the male side. It was Domantas Sabonis, right, like for their national team. And so, she's a little different probably than our other front court players. She's experienced. She's skilled. While everything will be new for her, I don't think she'll be afraid of the competition or whether it's physicality or skill. So we thought that was really important to go get, one more post player, and overseas felt like, the thing that made the most sense for us given the rest of our roster. But we're also really excited. Vivian Iwuchukwu had a great summer. I don't know if you guys know, but her freshman summer, right when she got here, she had an injury that required surgery. And so she kind of missed the summer and then was healthy to play. And then Laura Williams was healthy in the summer and then got hurt with, an ACL injury early in the season. So those are some, young athletic bigs we're excited to have. And like I said, Kai's had a really good summer, but Gerda in that mix as well. We feel like there's a post group that's going to be able to be productive for us, even if it looks a little different than the faces that you got used to seeing last year. Obviously, Clarice and Rhea were here for 4 years, and then Kiki was such a major impact player off the bat.
Just going down like Keely back.
Hi, Coach. I know each season is its own, but I was curious how you reflect on last season and what you take into this season based off of learning lessons and whatnot.
Yeah, it is. It's each season is really different, but obviously the growth trajectory and what we do is also not in a vacuum, and everything impacts everything. Last year was really remarkable in a lot of ways. I mean, I think back now and the amount of pressure and the amount of expectation and the amount of spotlight that was on that team from this time on, really without a break from that. Was something that I'm proud of, the fact that we met almost all of those expectations. We had a dip in that Notre Dame game, and we we kind of took off from there, and then to win a Big Ten regular season title, we're really proud of. The tournament, Big Ten tournament championship game, still stings a little bit, but that was a heck of a battle. And then obviously, I think everyone felt going into NCAA tournament that we were a national championship contender. And no one would have expected nor wanted nor chosen, Juju's injury. But I think the way that we responded to that was things that we're really proud of. And then obviously in the off season, everyone's off seasons now are a little more tumultuous. So, we learned from that too, and that's okay. Like, I learned a ton of lessons from having a team, with that much talent, that much expectation of what went well and what I would do differently. And I don't think it was our time. It was our time to do the things that we did. And I think now it's time to grow and learn. And, we know that the big goals are still there in front of us, meaning Final Four, national championship. But I think just the way that I've also learned, like, as much as those are the big goals, I think we've doubled down on who we are and what we want to do every single day for these young women. And that's something that's been a big theme, with our staff and our team of just doubling back on day to day, right? How we coach and how we mentor and how we spend our time around this team. So all of it blends together. But this year feels new and fresh, but within the context of trying to become, the preeminent program in women's college basketball.
Hey, Lindsay,
Hi.
any other hidden gems on that phone?
Oh man, yes. Lots of, if you ever want any, dirt on my children, I've got Jordan, at age 2 doing some crazy stuff. But yes, old recruiting messages, old videos. I'm not very good at getting rid of it. So nothing was better than the London message though. That was a good one.
So you're kind of a hoarder when it comes to on the phone,
well,
the
I'm
phone
a
thing.
minimalist, like with stuff. Like I don't, I'm a minimalist. Like I get rid of stuff at home. But for some reason, that phone storage thing, I have kept a lot of messages and things. So there's some good stuff on that, I'm sure.
Over the years, a lot of players who've been forced out for long periods of time because of major injuries then kind of sit and watch, and they find that really brings out a whole other dimension in their game, their knowledge, their just a whole lot of things. Do you foresee that with Juju as well?
Yes, I mean I think she's just a resilient person, a determined person. So she's going to get a lot out of this time, right? And I'm so committed to helping her, just take advantage of the time that she has here, where she's not, in the same kind of rat race, so to speak, as that she has been for the last couple of years. And so I have no doubt that there's going to be a point at which we look back and say, wow, she got better at this, stronger at this, wiser at that, because that's how she's going to use her time. And I mean, I'm seeing it every day, just in terms of, her conscious, I think, decision and natural ability to really pour into the team in ways that she can, right? Like, look at what she's given the team and look at what she's given the school and everybody on the court. But she's also, I think, conscious of the fact, like, okay, I can still, be there for my teammates in other ways as well. And she's physically, like, present whenever we're doing stuff. But I mean, just like the emotional piece of it as well.
We've gone this far without asking you any questions about Jazzy.
Right.
Obviously, we talked a lot about filling Juju's shoes. In what ways does she help sort of carry the load without Juju? And just her being as young as she is, where does it feel like she's ahead of the curve, maybe stepping in, versus maybe something you look at her game and think she still has a lot of room to grow in this?
I mean, I don't know, and I don't think you meant it this way, but, like, I don't know if I'll ever say, nor should anyone ever say, no one's filling Juju's shoes. Those are very unique shoes. But the fact that Jazzy, can step into our program and already just make a really unique and incredible impression on everybody is pretty wild. She's really, really good. Like that. I'll start with that. She's next level good. She loves the game of basketball. There's a lot of similarities with Juju in terms of, there's a stardom around them, but they weren't, social media stars or, TikTok people who happen to play basketball. They are hoopers who, are going to get attention because, of their basketball and who they are as people. So she's an incredible worker. She can, we've had X number of summer workouts and X number of fall workouts. So I'm only dealing with that data and also just knowing her for several years. But her impact on the basketball court just comes in a lot of different ways. She glides. She's very fluid. She can score it. She can pass it. She impacts the game defensively. She comes in ready in a way that is very unique. For someone her age, and so we're super excited. We know that we've got something special with her, but also it's within the fabric of the team that we're trying to create something together.
Hey, Lindsay, again. You touched on Kara a little bit, but I still think she's flying under the radar. Can you talk to us about her impact, what she's going to bring to this team? And then second, defensively, we have a lot of defenders on this team, a really good defensive guard set. Can you talk about how this team is going to be defensively this year compared to last year from what you've seen so far?
Yep. Kara is terrific. She's been a little banged up this summer. Nothing kind of major, but, we haven't necessarily had her in like live play as much, but she's mature. She's really understands the game. For having not gotten maybe as many reps as other people in the summer, she knows exactly what's going on and can step in. She shoots the ball really well. She's big and athletic. She's very efficient. She's a good offensive rebounder. I mean, if you study the film or the numbers from her time at Georgia Tech, just a really impactful player. It's also interesting. We all sit around with colleagues recruiting, and like you said, for whatever reason, it doesn't matter to me what people think, but I don't think it got like a ton of hype as a transfer. But the people who know, and half the the ACC came over to me and was like, oh my gosh, that's the kid right there. She's really good. And so we know that she's going to be an important part of what we're doing. She's been a joy. I think, she's got a really mature leadership voice for us. She's kind of, one of the mother hens on the team. I know, was having people over this summer to watch. What was the show that they were all like so into? Love Island. Now what's the other one? This summer I Became Pretty. That one, like that's a big one. Like they're all doing, she and Malia, really kind of, I think, just getting the team together. So yeah, she's been great. And then you mentioned defensively, and another name we haven't said a lot of is Kennedy Smith, who's just been terrific. And she's, I think, you'll see she's embracing a lot more for us than just defense, but. I mean, I'll say it here now. I don't know if it's like I'm starting my, case, but I don't know if there's a better defender in the country than Kennedy Smith. I don't, care who gets what vote. I don't know, the stats or whatever. But so defensively, if you're on a team with Kennedy, you want to play even better defense, But Kara's a good defender, and Malia and London can, get after it. Talking about the perimeter players, and Jazzy's really good on the defensive end too. And we've got a lot of length with Diana Mendez, who's a transfer who can get on that wing. And that's just the guards. I think we've got bigs who can fly around and do some things. So I think a lot of our identity this year will be defensively for sure.
Forgot to introduce myself. Jordan Mendoza, USA Today. You mentioned Kennedy, and I wanted to ask you, like last season, it just seemed like she kept growing game after game after game and really just became a leader on the team. So how have you kind of seen her take on that leadership role, especially, how strong she is defensively, but also even becoming even stronger offensively as well?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of conversations about it. I mean, I think, the leap from freshman to sophomore can be huge she was terrific her freshman year, and was invaluable on a team that I think kind of winning as many games as we won is not easy, and I think some of the young ones like maybe didn't realize like that was their first experience with college basketball. Like when we went 29-2 in the regular season, like that doesn't just happen, right? So she was really impactful there, but a lot of our conversations were about taking the next step, and for her, she does have tremendous leadership capability. And so, like, that's been something I've challenged her on, and she's taken on that challenge of just kind of day in and day out being a voice, being a consistent, leader. And then offensively, she can impact a game in so many ways. And so I think we've had some really good conversation about just putting her in different positions. I think she can really score, but I think she can also impact the game, just getting the ball in her hands, and she's just going to make the right play. It might be a pass, it might be a hockey assist, it might be, scoring in the paint, it might be scoring from three. But there's a lot of different ways I think we can utilize her. And it just comes with that growth of being from sort of like a freshman who's really thrown in the fire in critical situations to now being a sophomore that we're going to put more on your plate in terms of bringing others along and being a leader. And I think she really is ready for that, and that's going to be an exciting thing for us as well. But she's a special player.
Timothy Parker, Spectrum Networks, LA, excuse me. You mentioned last year the intensity that was on the team, all the eyeballs. But this roster is still loaded this year, even with Juju on the show for a while. Are your expectations just as high as they were last year, just without like all the madness that was surrounding it? How do you feel about the roster, even without Juju right now?
Yeah, I think it's even more important, I think, on a day-to-day basis. What I've learned and decided is just to focus on the championship level standards every single day. We've talked with the team. I think externally, the expectations will be less. I don't care, but I haven't seen us in a lot of people's, polls or, predictions, and good, right? Good. We'll figure out a way, I hope, to overperform. But with the team, right, it's about our standards are going to be the same. We're going to find a way. We have to find a way to play an elite level of basketball. I think, there's probably going to be some people who are focused on the future, and we're really excited about our future. We can't really comment on it, but we know we got people coming in, and Juju's going to be back at some point, but I'm not. I would do a disservice to this group right now if we weren't coaching the heck out of them right now and saying these are the goals and these are the standards today. And I think this team is going to really embrace that. And you're right, we have a lot of pieces and we have a lot of talent, and it's going to look. It has to look a little different than last year because there's a lot of different faces. But I think this team is going to be hungry to do something together. And yeah, our goals remain the same. And I've told them, we put a schedule in front of us. This is not, prep for some future year. This is for the right here and right now, and we'll attack it and we'll, hopefully achieve what we're destined and capable of achieving.
So not only are you playing South Carolina, but you're also playing them at Crypto and on Fox. And we know women's college basketball has been on the scene and in the spotlight for quite some time. But does this seem like an especially big opportunity?
Absolutely. I think those of us who kind of have these chances recognize, the platform that we have and trying to take advantage of it. And so when the organizers of that game, I think a lot of people were interested in like the real SC kind of conversation. And obviously so much respect, for Dawn Staley and, and her program. And so would have probably wanted to play them one way or another, but to get a organizer who said, no, we can put this game in Crypto, and we can put this game in Crypto without it being a doubleheader or without it being a men's, team anchoring it. Like we want these two premier women's basketball teams in Crypto. And that was something that I think both of us jumped at that opportunity. So, we recognize the platform we have, a lot of respect for the people who see it, and want to give women's basketball kind of that opportunity. And so, yeah, we think that that's cool. I'm also really into doing, home and homes too. Now there's all these opportunities to go play in other events, and we'll do that. But at times we'll make sure that we have, home and home games too. But I think it's really special for our team to be a featured game at Crypto where the Sparks and the Lakers play. It's a really neat thing, and I'm definitely aware of what that means for our game and our place in that. Nope, thanks you guys for coming out. Looking forward to it.